Did you know that Google has invested over $2.4 billion and raised over $6.7 billion for startups and is helping them to start, grow and scale their own businesses? Yep, you heard it right. And it is a crazy amount of money. It's called Google for Startups. And in today's video, I'm going to explain what it is, what it offers, and a few of the interesting success stories that have come out of the Google for Startups program. And of course, I'll give you some tips on how you can also apply and use this awesome offering that is provided by Google. Alright, so we all know Google is a pretty amazing company in how they treat their employees and how they also treat the wider community. And I think what I love best about Google is really the commitment that they make to help small businesses, underrepresented entrepreneurs, and of course, startups. And I personally love working in startups, and I think if I was to leave Google, the first thing I would do is probably go and work within a startup or start my own too. So the mission of Google for Startups is to support thriving, diverse, and inclusive startup communities all around the world. And how they do this is they're trying to become like a bit of a connector between the ecosystem and the products and the actual startups and people behind them. Almost kind of like search was when it first started out. The websites existed, but there wasn't a good way of finding them. So they aim to connect startups with the right people, products, and the best practices to help startups grow. So fundamentally, I think these companies, particularly when they get to a big size like Google, like Amazon, like Facebook, have a responsibility to do programs like this to help the wider community. Google was a startup at some point. It now has the ability to connect people. It also has the ability to help others too. And the core thing, which I think is so important that Google for Startups is working on, is that they're committed to really leveling up the playing field for all founders, as underrepresented founders and communities can sometimes face a lack of capital or support networks, or just not being born into any kind of wealth or network just from where you kind of grow up. So for reasons that are completely out of their hands, they may not have the best environment, the best capital, the best connections to help make their startup a success. Google for Startups is there to help plug that gap. And they've got plenty of resources on their website that I would highly recommend checking out, that really just goes through how they support the startups in the 3 different stages that they work on. So the first stage that they have is called Start. And this is very much for early stage founders who are just starting out their business. Maybe they're kind of trying to find a team, they're trying to finalize the idea, and they're really trying to validate their MVP, which stands for minimal viable product. That's the first stage. The second section is called Build. So this is more for teams who are looking to build out their products. So they've already got an MVP, they maybe already have some customers, but they want to kind of expand this a little bit more, take it to market, get those first few big B2B customers if it's a B2B product, and really just try and expand the business a little bit more, build out the products that they have and build out the team too. The third stage is called Grow, and this is for scale-ups. So they've already done the start, they've already got the team, maybe they've already got some funding already, but they're trying to grow the business and meet the needs of the customers and the market. So for example, let's say that they've built up a product and it's doing really well, but there's a lot of demand for it. Well, this stage is exactly where Google will come in and help trying to scale up that business quicker. And on the website, each stage has different articles and some best practice guidelines based on the different challenges that you'll face as a founder, depending upon what stage you're in. And there is a ton of different materials and resources available on the website. So definitely have a scroll through, check through the sections, because there is a real good ton of resources on there. What I want to focus on now is their in-house accelerator program. So they have different accelerator programs within Google, mostly that are supporting technical startups, but not exclusively. And they have different programs kind of in the similar vein to a normal accelerator, where they may provide you mentorship, networking, pitch opportunities, and funding. There is a few different accelerator programs that they have live at the moment. It does depend a little bit on where you are in the world and whether you're eligible for them, but definitely check those out. I'm a big fan of accelerators. I actually used to work for one in the blockchain space a few years back. So I think if you're a startup and you're looking for some kind of structure, an accelerator program is a really good thing to have a look at. So the Google for Startups accelerators are usually 3 months programs that provide early stage startups with Google products, people, and also best practices. And they have different accelerator hubs all around the world, which are all designed to help founders growing their businesses, as well as some hubs and some campus spaces, and different programs that help, for example, women and black founders to encourage underrepresented communities to be able to succeed in the tech world. What is also super cool about the accelerator program that Google provides is because it is like a Google accelerator program, that gives you opportunities for certain benefits that maybe another accelerator program might not necessarily be able to offer. For example, access to a ton of Google experts, so people who are really good experts in the field that you're building in, and like Google vetted experts, you know they're probably going to be pretty good. They also have a really good network of mentors as well in terms of helping your startup grow, so also Google vetted, and also really good mentors that they have in partnership with the Google for Startups team. Plus, you also could get mentored from people within Google. So if you need help, for example, building out a certain technical product, and you want to get some mentoring from a software engineer within Google, that is also possible too. There's also some really good potential for partnership on technology products. So if you're building something similar to Google is, or you're building something that people within Google might actually find quite useful for the products they're building or the teams they're in, there's a potential for partnership between the two different companies. And finally, obviously Google have a ton of different products, both physical and also software products. So by being part of the Google for Startups accelerator and that kind of platform, you would benefit from like early access to some of those tools before anyone else in the wider ecosystem or anyone outside of Google would actually have access to those tools. So it gives you a nice little head start on some of those tools before they're out everywhere else. And finally, there's been many successful startups that Google have supported through the Google for Startups program. Like a few come to mind, like Lonewell, Gooda, and Posset, and many more. They've all benefited from the Google for Startups program and also the help and guidance that the program provides. One thing's for sure, when I found out that Google offered this whole startup program, I was like, okay, damn, people need to know about this. And if you're building a startup and you want to move it from a side hustle to a real company, then the advice, support, network, potential funding, community, like mentoring that you can get from using Google for Startups and using all the benefits that it provides is like pretty beneficial and something that I would definitely recommend checking out. The website you want for more information is startup.google.com, this very website right here. So head there and it's got more information, more tips, more guidance, and it also links to the current accelerator programs that they are running right now. I also have a ton more Google content available on this YouTube channel. If you check out this playlist right here, it's got all the different Google related videos that I've made on the channel. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching this video and have an awesome rest of your day.